Hi everyone, and welcome to the weekly predictions for the week of August 17th, 2020. These are based on astrological transits and various observations, and I focus primarily on financial astrology, as well as some predictions for the geopolitical situation and the weather. So globally, what we have currently going on is we have this long-term transit in progress, which is the Saturn conjunct Pluto, and that's happening in Capricorn, and that has been with us since 2019 rather, and will continue to be felt through the end of this year, 2020. And we also currently have that joined by Jupiter to kind of make things even larger, more significant, and particularly last week and I guess the next couple of weeks, Mars will also be squaring that particular triple conjunction of the Saturn, Jupiter and Pluto, which will make things extra interesting. And in particular, what we may experience this week and like I said, the next couple of weeks is intensification of things like earthquakes or various seismic activity, volcanic eruptions, as well as big shakeups in like governments. We have this ongoing situation in Belarus where I guess the Lukashenko had won presidential election for, I believe it's like the sixth time in a row. And so there are protests, but there are also, of course, protests in the US, and many other countries may experience unrest similar to that. And indeed, there is a strong probability of leaders who were in power for a long time, or just simply elderly leaders who were in power, maybe they would want to step away on their own, or indeed to be toppled or experience actual attacks on them. And like I said, there's also increased probability of various like disasters or earthquakes, or situations where maybe there was a construction site, something that's like at the top. Think about government, officials being at the top, but also literally mountains, tall buildings, construction crane or something like that, where something is at the top and it goes tumbling down. Or there's a old building that's been, being repaired and there's a fire. So there's a strong probability of such incidents, unfortunately. And this will last throughout, say, early September, and this week, the 22nd and 23rd of August are particularly tense, and the 29th of August will be another such day. But I would say until the early September, we will continue experiencing this kind of intensified anti-governmental protests and sort of more of a tense times globally. Then we also have this influence that basically is also going to be felt on off this year and into even the next year. And in August, I guess it intensifies, and this will have to do again with shakeups at sort of tops of governmental entities or large corporations. And for US, the tensions may be felt especially through like August 13th through 21st. And there, not only can there be some intense kind of, like I said, shakeups at the government level, but also increased news about like restructuring of various organizations, debt, loans, concerns about bankruptcies. And this may particularly involve areas like retail sales, communication and transportation industries, so maybe newspapers, car rentals, or some sort of just like retail sales businesses. Those may experience some financial difficulties, declare bankruptcies, etc. And like I said, this will be felt through even the next year, but it will be on-off sort of an influence, but August looks particularly bad. And also in China's horoscope, August also looks significant, especially 17th through the 21st of August. And there may also be an emphasis on various like shakeups, disasters, or problems. But for China, the areas of focus may be like healthcare, pharmaceuticals, navy, pollution, oil, gas, recycling. So there could be some, increased news, whether or not it makes it into the official sort of public news, but there may be occurring some maybe breakouts of the various infectious diseases, perhaps pollution with like oil, or pollution of, say, water, and or even some leaks of oil and gas, and basically all kinds of issues that have to do with like poisons, drugs, and things maybe not being used properly, or kind of, like I said, polluting the environment. Whether or not we will necessarily see that in the news or not, but that's the increased probability for China for this month, especially August 9th through 17th. So I guess this influence will be somewhat waning towards the end of the week. And speaking also for global and important aspects, transits rather, that may affect things globally and in China, with the Jupiter conjuncting Pluto, again, pretty much the entire year, and to intensify in November later of this year of 2020. We will see increased news about various things related to, say, nuclear power or power plants in general, or waste, especially nuclear waste, but really any kind of waste, recycling, anything that is maybe buried underground because it's dying, decaying, or needs to be recycled, or it's hidden, quote unquote, underground because it's secrets. It has to do with spying or some sort of manipulations that, certain entities are trying to kind of cover up. And so there will be increased news on all of these kind of either literally buried waste, pollution that's occurring underground, or some recycling, problems with recycling because, again, there's maybe pollution because recycling site was breached or something like that, as well as various secretive activities where somebody's engaged in hacking, manipulation, spying, etc. And so, like I said, this will be felt throughout this entire year, but will pick up again in November. And this is influence that is strong both globally, but also there's an important transit to China's chart, which will indicate kind of that China either can be involved in these kind of activities, maybe stronger than some other countries. So maybe it could be on the receiving end of this, or it could be some things might initiate from there. But in particular, I guess the negative potential manifestation could be that indeed they're experiencing more, pollution and or some disasters that pollute the environment, including not just some outbreak of some epidemic, but also could be, like I said, literally gas leak or oil leak or some sort of a poisonous product leaks and pollutes water, for example. But it could also have to do with, maybe positively, could be that China may introduce new ways of recycling something, or may introduce new regulation on trash recycling, or open a new trading route that specifically goes over mountains or goes underground through these kind of more hard to reach, difficult, I guess, to cross areas. Or perhaps there may be news, especially, like I said, towards November, that China starts to expanding sort of their naval, power basically overseas, and maybe deploy some sort of a powerful navy vessel or submarine that maybe has a nuclear power generator on it. So that's kind of an overview. And so specifically then continue, I guess, on the news related to China and this coronavirus outbreak. There are again some aspects that specifically indicate importance of this to China, whether because it originated there or because just China was one of the first countries where this was officially recorded. But basically we will experience the final third sort of a wave of news or events related to China and coronavirus, or some sort of other similar outbreak of some sort of other infectious disease. And that will be again end of October through, let's say, November 20th. And this will be significant both globally, but also specifically for China, where there may be some radical measures taken or some final decisions, such as maybe, okay, we're done with this situation. This is our final approach on how to provide treatment, or here's our vaccine, and now we have the solution. And basically some sort of a major change in status quo. Again, this could be an official final sort of announcement related to vaccine, in terms of both either limitations on travel or in terms of development of vaccine, or it could be sort of officially, I guess, change in how things are being approached, specifically in China, but also this whole period, August through November 2020 will be significant for the entire world as well. So I would say then towards the end of November, we may have either indeed some vaccines, potentially even out of China, or treatments, or some sort of decision will be made that will stay with us following that, meaning that there will be less of a likelihood of things kind of going again up and down in waves. So things may be on the waning side, whether because there will be a treatment or vaccine, or just because things will, after November of this year, will start naturally kind of going away. In terms of oil, upcoming sort of oil prices or focus on developments related to oil, including like oil producers, I would look for August 29 and 30th in terms of the next kind of a time period where there will be increased news about either oil, like sales, negotiations, transportation of gas and chemicals. This may either involve something slightly stressful. Maybe there's a deal that was pending and it's not reached, or a shipment was, of some oil or gas or some chemical was pending, but it couldn't get through, or like if there are these discussions about, say, pipeline or something like that, something may stall there, or perhaps a deal goes through, but the details of it, the conditions are not quite clear, and this unclarity may this uncertainty may lead to some concerns about like oil prices, especially in the US. 30th and 31st of August may see news about oil prices kind of increasing, not about news increasing about oil prices rather than prices increasing. So we could hear more about negotiations, deals, sales, kind of like just more reports, and or even announcement of new projects related to oil and transportation. That's basically towards the end of the month. It may start with some global development, 29th, 30th, and then in the US, the news may pick up 30th and 31st of August. And in the US, while the global news may be somewhat stressful, the news related to oil, gas, chemicals, etc. in the US may actually be positive, such as maybe there's a large sale that US profits from, or perhaps there is some sort of a transportation deal is signed where something can go through, a shipment goes through with like large quantity of these kind of products. So it looks more beneficial for US and a little bit more stressful globally. And after that, again, I would look for like November 2020 through February 2021 for another sort of a long-term period where we will have, again, this time period where there will be increased news about like oil, gas, and related sort of products, such as various chemicals. And at that time, the news may become a little bit more stressful again, especially toward the end of January, where there's increased probability of like possibly an accident that may pollute water, or some other significant developments in related areas. And at the same time, the end of January will coincide most likely with some sort of surprising or shocking or unexpected developments related to finance, including like cryptocurrencies, forex, etc., and or some surprising events related to banks, as far as maybe their announcements about some sort of projects that involve digital currencies, or announcements about kind of doing more or less transactions online, or just starting or abruptly stopping some projects that they had pending. So something might change, or even an announcement about sudden bankruptcies, again, by some banks. So end of January of 2021 definitely looks like an important time. And like I said, both financial kind of institutions, for both financial institutions as well as any sort of entities that are either oil producers, or perhaps, oil transportation, or even countries where basically their income relies to a large degree on oil. So there might be some turmoil there. It starts about November of 2020, but then peaks around January, end of January of 2021, and maybe influence continues into like February of 2021. And I would say particularly January 18th through 29 may be significant both for oil as well as some financial surprises, I would say. And after that, there may be a little bit of a break, but then things again, news related to oil, or some negotiations or deals, perhaps about among like OPEC producers or something like that may pick up again in April of 2021, especially April 8 through 11 may be significant. And there may be a large market drop on April 8 and or 9. And similarly, in January, there may also be some turmoil in the stock market, January 19th or 29th, and that's next year. So after we have this kind of a brief overview of the background influences out of the way, let's focus on this week. So in terms of the stock market direction, and by stock market I mean like Dow Jones primarily, and also NASDAQ, I do think that there will be an up movement in the stock market the first 3 days of the week, Monday through Wednesday, 17th through 19th, and that Thursday, basically Monday through Wednesday will be 3 down days, and then Thursday and Friday the market will go up. And let's see, Monday and Tuesday there may also be increased news about things like gold prices, potentially a drop in gold prices, and also on solar power, as well as any sort of like prominent figures, maybe celebrities or leaders, politicians, famous athletes, sort of something along the lines of those people, either something to do with their maybe social media presence, what they talk about, their announcements, speeches they give, any of their communication, as well as their travel, their trips, maybe what car they're driving, or that they went somewhere unexpectedly. There may be increased news about that. There also may be increased news about like individuals who are like either young, for example, young politicians, or like royalty, maybe, the children of some royal individuals, or famous, persons, or young actors, young athletes, etc. And or the news may relate again to say teachers or education, again some area that involves kind of interacting with younger audience. And the news probably will be positive surrounding these kind of young individuals. Maybe there's some achievement, maybe of a young person may be highlighted, or again something that they say that perhaps may be seen as controversial will also be kind of discussed more in news than usual. That's for Monday and Tuesday. And then let's see, for just Monday the 17th, there may be increased news about like military, athletes, sports, fast-moving vehicles, weapons, and those may be related to retail sales, communication and transportation, so perhaps increased news about sales of fast cars, or discussions about imposing stricter age limits on sales of various products, especially the ones that are dangerous, or age restrictions on participating on some risky activities like gambling, or for example. There may be some discussions on that on Monday. And then let's see, as I mentioned already, that August looks like it's going to be a fairly tense time globally, and we may have through about the 18th of August increased probability of like strong fires and winds, and or some sort of solar events like solar flare. And if there is a strong fire, it may be more difficult than usual to put it out. Then 19th through the 28th may see another spike of like anti-governmental protests, like I said, seismic activity, disasters. And the nature of the influence would be that maybe there is this group of folks that are fairly well established. Maybe again they represent like some governmental forces or some large corporation, basically forces that have been, or entities have been in power for a long time. And then you have more of these kind of a younger, or not necessarily younger, but more newer, I guess, groups that are very angry, and they really want to change the status quo. However, the situation may again these protests may quickly turn violent, get out of control, increase probability of basically somebody getting hurt, and or these protests, they may also be stifled, and folks may be subjected to harsh restrictions. So basically there might be very aggressive on the one hand push for some sort of improvements or for changes, but these this week and upcoming, I'll say through throughout the late August, the situation looks like these angry protests or disruptive kind of movements may get either stifled, or there'll be certainly a strong, very strong push for restricting such situations. And so there definitely will be a lot of clashes before things kind of settle down. And like I said, that will be towards the end of August. And also, I guess on the positive type of positive manifestation, what would be a good thing to do, under such transit would be like if somebody wanted to maybe demolish an old, say, building, old structure, then if, there's a demolition project or something needs to be blown up, that actually may go quicker than expected. The only thing is that, of course, I would advise taking extra precaution because in this case, because things going faster than expected, or maybe it takes, less explosives to blow some sort of building. Again, we're talking about the demolition of things that were scheduled to be demolished. I'm not talking about any like violence or maybe mining operations where things need to be, maybe a tunnel is being built. So things may kind of go faster than expected. At the same time, it's also like a time where increased risk, there's increased risk of things basically going wrong. Again, things go faster, more debris, for example, are falling in the wrong sort of a place, not as predicted. So extra safety precautions are advised at that time. And I would say especially 22nd and 23rd, which is the weekend, I would avoid speeding. I would avoid passing like large vehicles, such as like a large truck with some construction equipment. So those are the kind of like situations like a large heavy vehicle or construction site or something that is kind of this slow, old or ancient event structure that's been sort of perceived to be sturdy and standing there for a long time, but there'll be attempts or just, weather-related situations where such structures may be toppled, or it could be an accident involving, again, something that's moving fast and is hitting the wall, or a large vehicle that's related to construction work may experience an accident. So again, among positive news, 17th and 19th, so Monday, Tuesday for the US may see positive news related to areas like IT, telecommunications, social media, airplanes, high tech, aerospace projects, etc. And so companies in those areas may actually report greater than usual profits, or some projects that they have pending may be actually going better than expected. Another positive potentially news, I guess, from the US will come around the 20th and 21st of August, and that will concern prominent leaders, again, celebrities, but also people who are very well educated, maybe professors, judges, especially famous individuals whose roots are perhaps who have immigrant roots, and these folks may be in the news somehow related to either finance or earnings or money in general, or taxes, and there may be some news about these folks either earnings increasing or them being involved in some profitable projects and or receiving financial support, such as through a tax break, loan, or somehow receiving opportunity to invest, I guess, may be easier. And again, obviously, this doesn't seem to, I guess logically you would think, these folks may be, there's some talks about taxing, kind of imposing higher taxes, but actually on the wealthy individuals, but actually on the 20th and 21st from the US, it looks like almost these folks are given more money or opportunities, make more money, but the final, I guess, ultimate goal will be that this also makes easier for these folks to pay taxes. So it will not be this increased earnings or potential for earnings will not be separate from, say, paying taxes or paying some, fines, for example. It will also be at the same time making it easier, or maybe they get to make more money, but also a larger, or it will be easier for them to then also contribute as well at the same time. But in any case, it might be a situation that involves, again, these prominent individuals and earnings and or taxes for them. And also for folks who are not necessarily prominent, and wealthy and celebrities. Foreign workers, college students, and immigrants may also receive some news, again, in the US, 20th and 21st of August, about some financial situations where maybe they get an opportunity for like increased income through a tax break, also loan opportunities, reduced insurance, or some sort of either financial opportunities where they too may receive kind of new tools through which they can either save money or reduce perhaps their taxes. And so I think that on these positive news, market may go up, and hence Thursday, Friday look more like up days. Let's see. Then on the weekend, 22nd, 23rd, may definitely be more tense than usual. So if, you're living in the areas that have prominent seismic activity, definitely pay attention to, how sort of structurally sound our buildings, and kind of make sure to keep your eyes open, and also try to drive, I guess, more carefully. That's for everybody in general, but also on 22nd, 23rd, again, there would be perhaps individuals out there who maybe will be more stressed than usual, and so definitely keep an eye on sort of safety on the road. And also, let's see, then following week, so the 24th and the 25th of August, especially the 25th, may see increased market moves, and possibly there may be some optimistic or positive, hopeful news from the US about either some increased spending or increased earnings, and alternatively, some maybe a deal with like international partners. But on 24th, 25th, so that's the next week, especially on the 25th, on Tuesday of August, there definitely will be some news, again, internationally about some either big deal, large deal between maybe international partners. And I also see, again, these news related to US, so it's possibly that one of these international partners will be US, and then maybe there will be some sort of a deal that's signed, or again, positive kind of a situation happens in US, maybe again some news about like increased earnings, or perhaps increased real estate market conditions, or banks' assets maybe will be reported as having increased, or it will be seen as like banks are doing better, they're more stable, they have increased earnings. And so on these kind of a more hopeful, positive news, on the following Monday and Tuesday may be updates for the stock market. And again, I'm talking about Dow Jones and NASDAQ primarily. So let's see. And I will try to also post the next day or two a video, maybe even later today, on the review of the predictions for the previous week. But for now, I'm going to keep this video shorter. And if you want to read these predictions rather than have to listen through all of this, or just want to go back and check the predictions in the written form, you can visit me at tolstunka.com. That's my blog. Until then, have a great week, and I catch you guys later. Bye.